time to invite you into our daily briefing room, where one of our leading tactical and strategic minds with years of experience as a general officer at the highest level of military command share thoughts on the current state of the war in Ukraine. Let's welcome retired commander of the 1st Infantry Brigade and Middle East advisor, Lieutenant General Sir Simon Mayall. Simon, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John.
Hi. Can I ask your thoughts, first of all, on a topic of discussion which has now become suddenly current? And that's the idea of the Arctic, the far north, becoming the new theatre of the new Cold War. I mean, no pun by that, by the way. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Well, it's very, I'd say, at the end of the Cold War, again, no pun intended, we had high hopes of much more cooperation with Russia. And we continued to have those high hopes for about 20 years. But at the moment, what's happening in Ukraine, what happened in Crimea, what's happening in all sorts of other spheres of our relationship with Russia, now make it look like the Arctic will be another front in which we're going to have to confront Russia rather than cooperate with it. And we're all very uncertain about what the consequences of confrontation, let alone, God forbid, conflict might be in the high Arctic.
And there are strategic questions which come into... Sorry, Simon, do carry on.
Sorry, just to say, of course, there are huge issues at stake in terms of either transportation, access, minerals, energy resources, etc. So it is a big area in which to have competition and confrontation.
Yes.
They say compared to when we were hoping for cooperation.
And I do want to come into some of that a little later on in the programme. There are enormous reserves of natural resources in the far north, in the Arctic, and clearly Russia hopes before too long to exploit some of those, as well as military questions between East and West. But I guess on the more close up military consideration, Russia now is talking of banning foreign shipping carrying Russian oil. Foreign shipping carrying Russian oil through some of these sea routes. They're demanding also Russian-only pilotage of vessels. Simon, what's the significance of that?
Well, it's very significant. I mean, anything to do with either keeping the sort of trade routes open, let alone what they're carrying. The whole issue of sovereignty, the whole issue of free movement of freedom of the sea, something that we've protected for centuries in many ways, since Nelson's Navy, is being challenged, and it's another reversal for what we had hopes for from globalization. What is being carried, of course, be it minerals, be it energy, be it grain, these are also in really important commodities that various parts of the world are going to be in real difficulty if they haven't got free access to them at reasonable prices.
Yes.
Again, ratcheting up and in a way holding various nations or the international community to hostage in really important things that could, in certain areas, mean the difference between political stability and social collapse.
Right. I'm going to be picking up some of those thoughts a bit later on in Drive. And when it comes to Ukraine, the fight for the key area, the key town of Severodonetsk, is now in its final stages. And it's said that Western and NATO weapon supplies are now slow to arrive. Have we in the West reason to be embarrassed about this?
Well, I think more than embarrassed, John, I think we should be really, really worried that our failure to if we weren't going to confront Russia, and we all understand the reasons why we didn't want to expand the conflict, but the key in many ways was at least to keep the Ukrainians in the field. When you lose Severodonetsk, largely you will lose the Donbass, let alone what happens to those Ukrainian soldiers who are going to get possibly encircled, cut off, and forced to surrender. And I've always said right from the outset that for a sort of minimum for Putin, will be, of course, control of the Donbass, the Black Sea coast, the land route to Crimea. If he gets that, and he genuinely is in for long haul, and Russia can sustain it, we ought to look to Odessa next and the potential for attack there, move out of places like Kherson and even the Transdnistria to take Odessa. For us, it looks like the cost in blood, treasure, reputation for Russia should be too high. It probably would be for Western nations, but we wouldn't be making the same calculation on this. So if he gets the Donbass, then it leaves us all in a very difficult situation. And I think certain countries within NATO, certain countries within the West have really been very, very backward in coming forward.
Yes.
Not say Britain among them.
Right.
Not Britain.
Indeed, indeed. And America, of course, has been
Yes, indeed.
pretty in the
They are
front line of
amazing.
making these supplies, but not all of the allies. Lieutenant General Sir Simon Mayall, thank you for joining us in our briefing room today.